autocomplete feature, for example, from GitHub Copilot. They claim it is making software developer 55% faster than they used to be.
Yeah, I want to assure you, I have never seen a person who's really dedicated to looking into get into his field of interest and never got succeeded. So if you are 100%, if you think you are giving 100%, and if you keep trying, you will definitely get it.
Thanks for joining us for the first episode of the Path to Tech podcast. I'm your host Vishal, and we have a great first episode lined up for you. At Skillaroo, we had some thought about what we wanted to do for our first podcast. And after some thought, we decided to launch by introducing a software engineer and a DevOps engineer who both happen to be my friends as well. And I hope they will be frequent guests to the show. My first guest today is Tulsi Sapkota, who is a software engineer. He has also worked in tech across multiple continents, and he is also an open source contributor and enthusiast. Tulsi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vishal.
And my second guest today is Yuba Raj Panta, or UV. He is a DevOps engineer at Sensand. He's also a Google Developer Group Melbourne organizer. He is also a volunteer and a photographer. UV, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Vishal. Glad to join.
Without further ado, why don't we start by discussing your career paths and basically how do you went from your, let's say, high school to a thriving tech professional, and what sparked your interest in technology? Why don't you go first, UV?
Wow, from high school, that's a long time, but remembering back, I was a bit fond of computers since I was kid, as far as I remember. Since I joined my first computer class in class 7, I thought, okay, whatever I'm gonna do with this keyboard and this screen. So yeah, from that I joined high school, focusing on computer science.
Okay.
Then after I joined the computer engineering back home.
And this
in
is for your
Nepal.
undergraduate?
That's for my undergrad.
Right.
And after completing the degree, I worked for a couple of years and then started pursue my master's in IT again.
Right.
I came to Australia in Darwin, and after that, after finishing it, I did a few internships, and then after did some contract roles in Northern Territory government, and then after, yeah, I joined Sensand, and it's been nearly 3 years, and yeah, going so far so good.
Awesome, amazing. So you came to Australia for your masters, right? And did you work before coming to Australia?
Yes, I worked for a couple of years back home as a system engineer.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Same question to you, Tulsi. So, how did it all start, and basically your spark towards technology, and also your career growth, basically?
Looking back at high school and even before high school, like when I was in my school days, I was really interested in computer. I used to assemble my home computer, like, get 300 MB, those days, like RAM used to be in MBs rather than in GBs like these days.
So this is building your own PC, right?
Yeah. Building my own PC, adding, RAM, like taking out all the pieces and assembling them back, right? But in my high school, I didn't actually study computer science as unlike UV. And also in my undergrad, I didn't pursue computer science. But I was very close to computer at that time as well. I studied bachelor in electrical engineering.
Okay.
But I used to do like side projects which related to programming, in a sense, hardware programming mostly. After completing my undergrad, I realized I had passion of programming and I really enjoyed it. So I pursued my career into it. I lent a book from UV, and then it started.
Right.
It started my journey in PHP back in the day.
Wow.
When PHP was really
At the hype. When
yeah.
was it? How long ago was it?
It was mid of 2015 or 2016, probably. Mid of 2016.
Right. So you didn't go to university for a programming or software engineering or computer science degree. You went
Yeah.
there for something else,
Yeah.
and then you picked up programming. You did have some units in your course, but basically you picked it up once you bought a book from UV.
Yeah, spot on. I had like C and C plus plus as two units. That were the only units that we had around programming.
Yeah.
But doing that, I kind of really like enjoyed working on C and C plus plus, building like few games and whatnot, what I could at that time, right? And after that, web development was really new to me. Yeah, I got a book from him, and then just started diving into it.
Wow. Wonderful. So, so you were already a systems engineer, and then you came to Australia for your masters, and then you've been working here ever since. You didn't do a computer science or related degree, but you basically picked something up by yourself with help from friends, and you're both here working at Sensand in Australia. So I want to move on to exactly that. So what does your day look like? So when you're working at Sensand as a software engineer, as a software engineer and a DevOps engineer, what does your day look like? What does it typically involve? How do you pass the work day? Tulsi, maybe you want to go first?
All right. So I work as a full stack engineer. That means I work from back end to front end. I also share some like passion around DevOps as well. So I also do a little bit of DevOps as well.
Right.
So in the morning, you start by looking into like your tickets. We use linear. So I wake up and then see like what are the pending tickets that I have, right?
For our listeners, what do you mean by tickets?
Uh, they are like your tasks. Basically, you have 2 weeks a sprint, and then you create like
Things to do.
things to do.
Right.
Yeah, spot on,
Sometimes
yeah.
basically writing back-end code, front-end code, or releasing it. These kind
Yeah.
of tasks, right?
Yeah.
That's tickets. Okay.
Building some feature that may have like both front end and back end component may include also infrastructural components.
Okay.
So you want to build some feature for your customers. So you basically create a meaningful task from that, so that you can go on and start working on that.
Okay. Okay. So these tasks, these tickets are created for you. You start by looking at these tasks on linear, and then what do you do?
Then I jump into coding if I don't have any meetings.
Okay. You say that as if there are a lot of meetings. Is that a thing like in software engineering? Like, do you have a lot of meetings which slow you down?
I won't say slow me down, but like they are important. They are
Okay.
as important as writing code.
Yeah.
You need to understand from product side what they want. You may need to discuss with your team regarding like if your solution that you are proposing is that if that aligns with what everyone is doing or not. They are important, but they kind of sometimes get you out of focus as well, right? So you want to write like a geek. You want to write code without any disturbance. But yeah.
You see value in meetings, but coding is a creative endeavor, and when you're involved in it, you'd rather have a big chunk of time to yourself rather than being sort of separated by meetings throughout the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. What else? What else happens in a typical day?
Yeah, and then you will not only you are writing code, you are also reviewing code from your peers. So someone might have pull requests. They are like if our audience are not aware of what pull request is, it is you do your work and in version control, there is a concept called pull request. You send that code basically for others to review, and then merge that is like getting things in the repository.
Right, right. So that's the process with which engineers work so that they can collaborate on the same piece of code.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, awesome. So meetings, coding, and reviewing other people's code. Would that describe the majority of your day for you?
Yeah, if you don't have like any production issues
Okay.
in that day,
Right.
that's all. If you have production issues, then you leave everything else and then get to it.
Get to it.
Yeah. Speaking of production issues, Yuvi, what does your day look like?
My day, so whatever Tulsi said.
So the same tickets, starting the day with looking at the
Yes,
tickets.
the process pretty much looks the same.
Mhm.
But my part, it's mostly focused on making our deployment process easier, automated, so that there are no issues. But again, there are issues,
Right.
which is inevitable. And then after working with our infrastructure, primarily, if there are some resources that need to be redefined, or new resources need to be deployed, or if there are some optimization that we need to get through them.
Okay.
And then after, as I said, the workflow. So once developer develops the code, it needs to go through certain checks,
Yeah.
and then after it goes, if everything looks right, then after it goes to the end user.
Right.
So maintaining that pipeline is another part of the job.
Mm.
And yeah, looking into dashboards, completely monitoring all of the infrastructure, if app is working correctly or not, if there are any issues that are coming or might come, if there are any signals that looks bad. So tracking those, yeah,
That's the
reviewing
ops-
them.
ops part of
That's the
DevOps.
ops part.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's pretty much for me. It's as Dulcie said, there are a lot of distraction more than that happens in the code development world, because as a DevOps, you have to look into multiple places,
Yeah.
not in one single area. There are multiple areas that you need to focus. So
And you also have a lot
Yeah.
of the team depending on you. And
yes,
coming to you
exactly.
as well.
Yeah. So yeah, serving all of those requests and then getting some planned work as well.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
Right.
managing time for everything that
Right. Okay. So
that makes most of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do some planned work and some unplanned work to help out unblock the team.
Yeah.
And things that you get to know by monitoring things around the dashboards. That's how. That's what defines your day. Right?
Yes.
Pretty varied. Yours would probably be a little more defined than his, for example. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that was the day in the life of a software engineer and a DevOps engineer. Now, these are really good stories. Now let's dive into some serious topic, right? So, how do you see the future of software engineering and the future of DevOps evolving, especially with AI, especially with all of these new things coming up? Recently, we had GPT 4.0, and Google had Project Astra and all the other things that they announced. How do you see the future of your discipline and AI impacting it? Yuvi, maybe you can start first.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I think the future is really bright.
Okay.
For my workflow, particularly in DevOps area, I can see there are lots of things. So primarily, one of the primary role of DevOps is to automate things, right? So that there are less pain points, there are less user interventions, so that dev's life would be much more easier. I've recently attended few seminars, few summits, which are all talking about AI. And if you look into the products they are developing, the pace that they are developing all of these, their models, their foundation models, and supporting in specific areas like software engineering, DevOps, or even in general, general use. There are lots of things that I guess can be optimized in terms of our, whatever I said earlier about in daily life. There are lots of things that we can ask AI to do, and then we can focus on more productive work, more creative work. There is a hype saying that okay, AI is coming, your job is on the risk. I would say AI is coming. Now it's your time to shine.
Nice. The ball is on your court.
Exactly.
Yeah. So DevOps has always been about removing people, creating these repeatable processes, and automating things. And AI just helps in that. AI, especially these, the foundation models, the large language models that we're seeing, help you move more closer towards that automated future.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Tulsi?
So I think for new or experienced developers, AI is really helping us make our life really easier. For example, I use Copilot, OpenAI, these tools each and every day, and this has obviously saved me doing a lot of repetitive tasks. And their autocomplete feature, for example, from GitHub Copilot, they claim it is making software developer 55% faster than they used to be. So, yeah, it will help us do the important task, leaving the repetitive task to AI. That's my thought on AI on software development.
Wonderful. So that 55%, is that something that you personally identify as well as a software engineer? Has that made you personally 55% more productive?
Yeah, I think if I know that programming language really well, I like to use GitHub Copilot, and it usually comes up with a lot of good autocomplete suggestions. Um, but if I'm actually learning a new program, I tend to turn that off because it does that, and so that I cannot learn that
Yeah,
language.
it takes the learning out of the
Yeah.
equation.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. So I think before we move on to the next question, I have an exciting segment for us. And this will be a rapid fire round. In this round, I'll ask you some questions, and the goal for you is to answer with as little words as possible, right? So for a quick sort of teaser, um, iOS or Android?
iOS.
Mountains or oceans?
Mountains.
All right, so you get the idea. All right, right. It won't be that short, but it will be. The goal is meant to be very rapid. First question: if you were not in tech, what would you be doing?
I would have been working with computers.
You'd have been working with computers. If computers were not a thing,
I would have been looking into how to bring the computers.
how to invent computers. Okay, how about you?
Probably mathematics.
Okay, all right, good.
Smart guy.
Another question: what's the most ridiculous app that you've downloaded?
There are many, so
Just name one.
It's a rapid fire.
okay. I have downloaded this app from government of Nepal. I won't say the name of it,
Okay.
but it is pretty bad.
Okay. All right. Good. What about you? Is it the same app?
No. So ridiculous.
Okay.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, technically ridiculous.
No, it doesn't have to be technically ridiculous. Just something that just didn't make sense.
I would say Facebook.
That's a good one. Another one. What's your favorite part about working at Sensand? You go first.
I love the vibe.
Not the vibe and Tulsi.
I get to work on all part of software development.
Okay, that's great. And maybe one more before we move on to the next question. And this will be, what is your favorite way to unwind after a long day? Tulsi?
Sleeping.
Okay, and
Playing with my kid.
playing with the kid. Beautiful. All right, now let's go to the next question. So this is going to be our final question for the episode. Any final thoughts or advice that you have for aspiring young professionals looking to build a career in IT? Why don't you go first?
Yes. In my personal experience, I have seen a lot of people um, who are demotivated just after a few job searches. You know, but yeah, I want to assure you, I have never seen a person who's really dedicated to looking into get into his field of interest and never got succeeded. So if you are 100%, if you think you are giving 100%, and if you keep trying, you will definitely get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're applying for jobs but it hasn't been happening for you,
Yeah.
just stay at it. You need to persist at it, make sure that you've got your fundamentals down,
Definitely.
and make sure that you're 100%
Exactly.
invested in it, and it'll happen for you.
Exactly.
Thank you, both of you. As we come to the close of this episode, I want to thank my guests again, Yuvi and Tulsi, for sharing their career experiences and insights. Remember, the tech world is a journey with twists and turns and friendships to cherish. Tune in next time for another engaging conversation with tech industry insiders on the Path to Tech podcast. Signing off.